And good morning. How's everybody doing? Oh, that's almost Friday, right? Again, my name is Rick, and as she mentioned, I do hail from the Sunshine State of Florida. Now, I want to start out by just asking y'all a couple simple and easy little questions, and hopefully everybody can see what I got here in my hand. Can y'all see this stuff? Yeah, I'll bet you know what it is too, huh? Question number one, and be honest with me. How many of you have maybe ever tried some of this stuff? Well, a few hands going up. I'll tell you what, gang, listen up. I'll tell you what, I want to ask you another question as well. How many of you know somebody else, though, that uses it all the time? Yeah, now almost every hand goes up. You know what? I still know a few people that use this stuff all the time, and right now I want to introduce you to somebody else who used to. Me. I used to be a user of this. Well, for the longest time, you've probably heard it called smokeless tobacco. You know, I hate the word smokeless. I mean, let's think about that word for a second. Doesn't it kind of sound nice and neat and pretty? Doesn't it also kind of sound harmless? You know, smokeless, harmless, no smoke, no fire. Well, if you've never used it yourself, I know you've seen somebody, right? Anything but a pretty habit. And I can tell you for a fact right now that it's not harmless. And besides, what do you really do with it? I mean, do you actually put it in your mouth and smokeless it anyways? What do? You put it in your mouth and you spit. So that's what I'm going to call it from now on, is spit tobacco. And I'd like each and every one of you to call it that as well. I mean, let's call it what it really is. It's not smokeless. It's spit tobacco. Now, I started using tobacco myself when I was only about 12 years old. And I think back now, and there was really three big things that kind of got me started with tobacco. Now, does anybody here think they know what one of those three might be? What do you think? Excuse me? Oh, sports? Any particular sport you got in mind? Baseball. That was a big influencer on me when I was 12. You know, baseball, I'm from Florida now. I'm going to change mics here real quick because this one seems like it's going south on me. Check. There you go. Baseball. You know, I live in Florida now, but I'm originally from Southern California. And when I was growing up out in San Diego, man, I played a lot of baseball. At age 10, I made All-Stars in Little League for the first time. I played all the way through high school. And when I got out of high school, I didn't go to college. I had an opportunity to play some minor league ball with California Angels. I mean, I consider myself a pretty good ball player. And I associated the use of spit tobacco with the game of baseball. Probably like all you just did. So that was a really big influencer on me when I was 12. Anybody got another idea? Well, you guys are quiet this morning, huh? What do you think, sir? Peer pressure. There you go. Big influencer on me when I was 12. And I know peer pressure is one in your lives too, gang. Now, don't worry. I'm not going to start lecturing you about it. I mean, that's not why I'm here. But when I was 12 years old, man, it was a big thing and a lot of different decisions I made. Now, I have to be honest, though. I didn't have a single friend that was using this stuff. But most of my buddies, the guys I hung around with at school and after school, they were all starting to smoke. Now, I didn't want to smoke, and I want nothing to do with cigarettes. I mean, my parents had taught me that cigarettes give you lung cancer and emphysema, and, you know, to be quite honest, these things, I mean, they just make you stink. I didn't want nothing to do with cigarettes. But all my buddies, they were starting to smoke. You know, and at school and after school, they'd be offering them to me. Come on, Bender, what are you scared of? But I kept saying no. But you kind of want to fit in with the crowd. I mean, the peer pressure is there to use tobacco. And then along come these advertisements on TV. Now, back in the 70s, when I first started using the tobacco industry, they still had commercials on television. And they had these professional athletes, guys like Earl Campbell and Carlton Fisk, and probably the guy I remember the most, a guy by the name of Walt Garrison. Now, I don't expect any of you even recognize those names, but I'll tell you what, old Walt Garrison back in the 70s, this guy played football with the Dallas Cowboys, and he was as big a name then as Tyrell Owens or Peyton Manning are today. And I remember Walt up there on TV holding up a can of Skull, which is spit tobacco, it's snuff, and the big advertisement, take a pinch instead of a puff. You can enjoy smoking without lighting up. Take a pinch instead of a puff. We get back to that peer pressure thing. All my buddies are smoking. I don't want nothing to do with cigarettes, but you still want to fit in. Hey, Walt Garrison's using this stuff, and he says it's a safe alternative. Turned out to be the biggest lie I was ever told, but I fell for it and started using it. So those are really the three biggest things that got me started with tobacco, okay? And when you stop using it, your brain cells can't communicate as well initially because, I guess I'll go ahead and get into it. Nicotine, when it goes into the brain, makes the brain over-communicate. It excites the cells, stimulates the cells, and it makes them basically yell at each other, all right? Now what happens when somebody starts yelling at you? You don't want to hear it. So one cell starts yelling, the other cell will grow what they, like an earmuff, all right? Listen up, gang. The other cell will grow like an earmuff. Now when you quit using nicotine, the cell that was yelling, he goes back to talking normal. The one cell that grew the earmuffs, he can't hear the communication anymore because that other cell's not yelling. Now that earmuff will go away, but it takes some time. And that's what when you hear people talk about when they quit using tobacco, they get real aggravated, or sometimes they get real sleepy. It's because their brain cells aren't able to communicate as well. It takes about 21 days for that to start going back to normal. So I don't know if it causes any memory loss, but it definitely messes with the way the brain cells function. Well, I'm going to go ahead and finish up. You know what, gang? I want to thank you all for letting me come here this morning and talk to you. I hope I've been doing that, not at you. I know I do get my little soapbox out and I start preaching. And if I've done it, I apologize to you because I don't want to preach at you. I don't want to try and tell a single one of you what you can or cannot do. I don't want you to do it to me. I will do it with you all. What I hopefully have done here is maybe give you a little something to think about. I want to let you know what happened to me. Others like Sean. I want to show you that slide of leukoplakia. Remember that white patchy stuff? I want you all to know what that is because I had no clue. I didn't know. But I want you to know. And hopefully I've given you a little information. You can walk on out here. You can at least make an educated choice about whether or not you're ever going to use tobacco. Because that's the bottom line, gang. I mean, let's face it, when that day comes, if it hasn't already, you're the only one standing there that can make that decision. I can't make it for you. I don't want to make it for you. You have to make it for yourself. But let me remind you something as well, friends. After you do make that decision, hope prepared to live with it or die with it. Because you're the one that's going to have to, not me. I go back home to Florida. I got to live with my own decision. You don't live with mine. But you're going to stay here and deal with yours, but don't forget your families. Your folks right now, your future husbands and wives, and for God's sakes, people, your future children. They're going to end up dealing with those choices you make after the day. Keep them in mind when you make those decisions. One last thing I'd like to ask of y'all, this is a favor for me. A lot of you raised your hand and said you knew somebody that used. Do me a little favor. Next time you see them, maybe pass on some of this information. Don't preach or nag at them, but let them know what. You know what I'd really like to see you do? I'd like to see you help them quit. But if for some reason you can't, I got a little personal message I want you to leave them with from me. And please, everybody listen up here and now. Because if you got a friend or a loved one that uses this stuff, or any tobacco for all that goes, pipes, cigars, cigarettes, any of it, and you can't get them to quit, this is going to be the only other small chance they're going to stand of beating this type of cancer. So listen up here now. You may very well save their life. You let them know this. If they get a sore in their mouth, and I don't care if it's a little white bump or a big red one. It could be a sore throat, heartburn, little blister on the lip, any sort of little sore irritation to do with the mouth, throat, stomach, anything. And it doesn't heal up and go away, and I mean gone too, not just feeling better, gone. In a maximum of 10 days, they need to get down to a dentist or a doctor right away and get it looked at. Because the only small chance they're going to stand of beating this thing and not going through what I did, or thousands of others every year like Sean up there, death, is to catch it early before it gets that chance to take root and grow in the body. Now, how many days did I say? 10 days. Right now, I want you all to stay seated. I'm going to turn them over to you, sir. But I want to thank you, ladies and gentlemen. You guys have been a great group. Appreciate your attention. Thank you very much.